What is going on, Patriot Gardeners? It is your buddy Murdock, and I am back tonight with another fun-filled episode involving the spoon. And I have a really special treat for you guys tonight. Not only do we have all sorts of really cool things popping up in the indoor garden here, we can see all sorts of tomatoes, and we got some cabbages right here. We're going to be doing those in a video for our high intensity gardening. Part 2 of tonight's video will be involving the Swiss chard and the spinach starts that we've got going here. But part 1, the really special part that you guys are actually going to flip out over, is right here. Dun, dun, dun. Ta-da! That's right. You read that correctly. That is a 640 ounce, or otherwise known as a 5-gallon, double red solo cup bucket grow system. I guess that's what we'll just leave it at that. Pretty intense, right? Somebody left a comment in one of the videos that I had done about, oh, Murdock, I'm going to get the big boy 32-ounce red solo cups. And I actually went and looked it up. They do make like a 30 or a 32-ounce red solo cups. I've got some of those on their way, so I'm going to do those videos. But until then, yeah, we're just going to go ahead and step it straight up to the big boy version and show you guys how to really take it to the next level. Now, some folks are not going to be into this, okay? Let me just get that right out in the open. Some folks are going to be like, no, I just want to throw it in a bucket. I'm not going to be messing with air hoses and diffusers and a bubble system or anything like aeration system. You know, I'm not going to be having all sorts of crazy things like, you know, what in the heck you got going on down in there, Murdock? Like, I'm not doing that. And that's totally fine. You can skip to the second part of this section where we get to the high intensity gardening involving the transplant of the spinach and the Swiss chard here, and maybe even some of the little cabbages we got going. Look how beautiful those are. Isn't that neat? And these guys are going to separate perfectly. But for the first part of our video here in our double bucket system, it doesn't have to be a 5-gallon. You could do this in a 3-gallon or a 4-gallon bucket, you know, whatever you got, preferably 2 of the same size, or you can even use a smaller one, a 3-gallon inside of a 5-gallon. Usually their lids will mate up, and you've got yourself a good double bucket system. Now, let's talk about what is going on here and what I have set up. Now, the first bucket that's sitting right here, I have completely already set up. It's got the air lines running into it, and you can see I've got a lower air line, which runs right here into the base of the bucket, and I've got an upper air line right here, which runs down into the soil. Now, if we come over to this bucket that I have set up right here, the upper air line is attached to about 24 inches of this 1/8-inch fish tank tubing. You can get this stuff at Petco. It is so cheap. And I'm going to show you all that stuff towards the end of the video. And it's attached to a little 1-inch air stone. Now, this is going to be placed down into the medium. As you can see right here, this is going to run about halfway down that bucket inside the growing medium. And what this is going to do is this is going to direct supply oxygen from our little aeration unit right there directly to the base of our roots. And when you utilize this system and you incorporate a direct injection of oxygen into the soil, what you find out when you remove the plant from the bucket is that surrounding this is going to be an entire giant root mass ball. I'll make a video on that when I actually take out a plant, just so you guys can see how prolific the roots get and how much they enjoy having all that oxygen. You know, the biggest problem people have with their cups and stuff like that is going anaerobic and, like, you know, running out of oxygen. The bottom of the soil becomes completely devoid of oxygen. The plants can't breathe, and the roots eventually rot off and just begin dying. And we really don't want that. That's why we add the perlite and the other stuffs to help a free flow through our medium. Well, by adding this, we give that oxygen directly to the plants. And the lower one, which I'll cover here in just a second, goes into the lower reservoir, which we can see down there, and bubble, 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 sits and bubbles away. Let me go ahead and pull this thing up so you guys can actually see what's going on down in there. And it will bubble itself away. And what it's doing is when the roots actually grow through the bottom of this bucket here, let me pull this one out. And you can see I've got all these nice holes right here. But I have a 2-inch air stone that's down in here. And all those little bubbles you see are going to heavily oxygenate that water, supplying even more oxygen to the root system. And it's also going to be splashing little water particulates and like a fine mist up off of those bubbles, kind of like an aeroponic. So in this, you get a water reservoir with a little bit of a bubbly aeroponic additive for the roots, which splashes up that water up on the roots and keeps them moist and constantly feeds them. Now this you do not have to add special nutrients to. This will basically be the runoff from your bucket. If it gets too nasty, you can always remove the inner bucket and dump this out and then let new water go into it, or put some nice clean dechlorinated water into it. And oh, here's another quick garden tip if you guys didn't know. You can use one of these air stones, fill up a 5-gallon bucket full of regular tap water and let the air stone run in it for 24 hours and it will dechlorinate all that water. And it's perfectly safe to use on your plants as long as there's nothing else hiding in the water. But yeah, just to get rid of all the chlorine, there you go. So, how we do this and why do we do this? When you put a plant into the system, it's literally going to grow 3 times as fast. I would guess minimum twice, but 3 to 4 times as fast as anything else. Just sitting in regular soil or any pot. And I do have some plants that are running in this, but because of YouTube's guidelines and because they'll demonetize and bomb your channel, I can't show those specific plants on this video. I don't even know if I can really mention them. I think the furthest I can get away is by saying the word autoflower. And they are doing remarkably well. I actually have a post up on a forum, an international forum, showing that this system right here, almost about 95% of the way, 95% of the way, keeps up with a hydroponic system. I would bet some money on that because I've done it for so many years. But what you're going to do is you're going to get your 2 buckets, either 3-gallon, 4-gallon, 5-gallon buckets. First thing you want to make sure is that your buckets are food safe buckets. You can make sure they are by going to local restaurants, delis, even supermarkets and stuff like that, and going to their deli section and ask them if they have any leftover, food buckets, pickle buckets, stuff like that. These were actually pickle buckets from a local sandwich restaurant. If you can figure that out, they sell them. And they're $3 a pop, and they are food grade, and they come with lids, and that's quite a bit cheaper than they are online for food grade storage buckets. But you get you a couple buckets, and the first thing you're going to do is you're going to scrub them out. And I mean, well, use soap and water, hot water, and you're going to scrub them out, and then you're going to rinse them thoroughly, and then you're going to dry them off with paper towels or a towel or something, and then set them in the sun, let them dry real good. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to take one of your 2 buckets and you're going to flip it over outside. Let me get this down here. And you're going to take a 1/2 inch, 5/8, 7/8, something like that, up to about a 1-inch bit. And you're going to drill a whole bunch of holes, just like you see on the bucket right here. Don't drill any on the side. just on the bottom because we want those roots to come out just the bottom. If you were to drill holes on the side, I know some people will be like, oh, why don't we just, add more for more drainage? It's because the roots will actually come out the side, and then when you try to put the two buckets together, it'll just smash them all up and cause shock to go through the root system. So you don't want that. If they come out the bottom of the bucket, they're always going to be safe. They'll go right into the reservoir, and that will be that. Next thing you're going to do for bucket number 2 for the outside, and I went ahead and marked these off pretty good, so hopefully we can get away with not too much glare, is you're going to take the bucket that you drilled all those wonderful holes in, right there, and you're going to place it with the hole you haven't drilled holes, or the bucket you haven't drilled holes in, and you're going to place the one without the holes inside the bucket that has the holes. I know that sounds kind of backwards, but there's method to the madness. By doing that, you can then take a stick, or whatever you got, a pen, little stick like this, and you're going to feed it right in here. And when it hits the bucket that doesn't have the holes that you place it in, doom, 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 it's going to give you a measurement, because all buckets are not created equally. Some of them are going to be deeper and shallower based on where the lids sit, because they may not made up, or some of them only have 2 rings. This one happens to have 3 on each bucket, so I get a little bit of a deeper well. Then you're going to come over and you're going to measure off where the bottom of that other bucket would be on the bucket with no holes. Okay, you're going to separate those 2 buckets, and you're going to mark you a line. This is where the bottom of your bucket would be, right here. See? Bottom of inner bucket. Now you're going to drill 2 holes on the outer bucket. The first one is going to be 1/4 of an inch below where the bottom of the bucket on the inside would be. That is going to be for the bottom air stone and an air line to run in the side of this bucket. The second hole that you will drill, there's our bottom line right here, will be 1/2 inch down below where the bottom of the bucket is. And the reason we do that is because our water reservoir level is going to be right about here. Just in case that water was to come up right here, this isn't an emergency kind of overflow to let excess water come out. That way the water does not rise up right here and hit the bottom of this bucket and leach into the pot and start letting the soil go anaerobic and killing off your plant. So this is just a little safety measure. Like I said, the first one is 1/4 of an inch, and that's for your air line. Second one is 1/2 inch down, and that's going to be just an emergency drain. And you can see here we've got this line running into the bucket right here, and that's the one that I showed you guys with the 2-inch air stone on the bottom. That's the one that's going to bubble, the upper one, and I've got this moved over right here. The upper one is the smaller one, like this right here. It will actually go down in the medium. So we've got 2 buckets. We've got holes drilled into the bottom of one of them. We've got 2 holes drilled in near the bottom, measured and drilled. And you can use this fish tank tubing is an 1/8 of an inch, so I use, therefore, an 1/8 of an inch drill bit. You can go a little bit bigger if you want, like 3/16 just to make it fit in nice and easy, and RSB that if you want. I don't really ever see an issue because the buckets don't get sloshed around or nothing. And the same for the other side. But now that we've got our buckets drilled up, let's talk accessories here. What do we got going on? Okay. This little neat looking gadget here, let me reach behind me here and get the boxes I got set up for this one, is one of these right here. Now what this does is this individually allows me to control, like I said, the one that goes into the soil here. I can you know, open it up and let more oxygen in, I can turn it down and tighten this down, and it'll close off that valve. Or I can open this one, you know, to bleed them out. Now this one happens to have 4. They sell them with 2. They even sell them that just have the 1. Obviously you're going to need one with a 2 little thing on it, or you can get an aeration system that has 2 hoses if you're only going to do 1 bucket. I'm going to be doing multiple buckets, so I'm going to actually need about 8 of these things. That way I can run 2 lines to each bucket. So these things run you about, now I think I paid $5 for this, $6 at Petco for this one. And they're just really good. It's got a check valve in it, which prevents any water backflow and stuff from getting over to your aeration device. So if you get one of these, $5, I think that the one that's got 2 is $4. You'll hook one of the air lines from right here that goes into your medium. The other one goes directly into the bottom of the bucket for the other air stone. Okay, so let's talk tubing. What do we got here? Here you go. Some imaginary, it's and whatever brand you can find, but let me get a zoom in on this because I know people will have questions about the exact size and stuff like that. So there you go. There's even a little barcode you guys can probably scan and get done. But yeah, I got this at Petco. I think these are about $6-7 for 25 feet. Not too bad a price. And if you can, don't buy the stuff that looks opaque. Actually spend the money and get the stuff that looks clear. It's much higher quality and it will last you quite a bit longer. Next thing we will cover real quick while we're doing little product things. This is the first air stone. Let me see if I got one back here. Yep, there we go. All right, so here's the bottom air stone. And I'm using a bigger one. You can even use a 3-inch, a 4-inch, or one of the big rounds as long as it fits down in there and starts, you know, stays under the water and splashes water up. These are the 2-inch. Zoom in right there. And I think you get 2 of these for $1.99. They're pretty cheap. And then we've got these guys, which are the little 1-inch. Zoom in. Come on, camera. You could do it. There we go. Same exact thing, same company. And like I said, they're just a couple bucks. And you get 4 of them. Then we come over here and we have, this is just a regular fish tank bubbler. Now, like I said, if you were to just want to try this with 1 bucket and you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, you can get one of these for about $7 online that has just one little porthole in the front right there. So you just hook one line to it. You would hook the one line up to a diffuser with 2 of these. One of them goes in your bucket, one of them goes to the bottom, and there you go. You're set to go. And you could run just 1 bucket system. This one has 2. I've got the other one blocked off right now because I don't have it running to the other diffuser for the other 2 buckets yet. They're not set up. So oxygen would just be flying out that if I didn't have it taped off. That's actually just a little plug I got going on there. But that one right here has a little adjustable control. So you can come right here and turn it way up, or you can turn it all the way down, depending on what your needs are. And let me get a shot of this. And like I said, this one was a 60 to 100 gallon. You're going to want something that pushes at least 20 to 40 gallons minimum, just so it can really push that air. I paid, I think they had this one, it was $15 or $20, something like that. They're not very expensive, and you can get them online, sometimes 10, 15 bucks for one even bigger than this. So just keep that in mind. Now, so now we've covered getting our buckets, cleaning our buckets, hooking up some air lines, how to hook up a little diffuser, and these things are so cool, they just hang right on the side of this, which means you can go tandem. You can put, you know, 8 to 10 buckets in a row. And we have covered drilling holes in the bottom of the first bucket, the outside of the secondary bucket. So now I want to talk about this right here, the medium that's going to go into it. Now this medium is using my tomato soil mix, which I have right here, which you guys have actually seen in some of the other videos. The only difference is because this is going to be used for a quote-unquote autoflower. This is not going to be run inside the garden here, although I guess you could. This will actually be run under some high-intensity lights in a tent. This medium has, what did I add? Half a cup for the 5 gallons of the composted chicken manure, and a little bit of rabbit manure to help give just a little bit of extra nitrogen for the plant that's going to be going in here. But the filling of it, depending on what you're going to put into it, the bottom of the bucket is actually kind of important because you need adequate drainage. So I have taken the liberty of marking this bucket off right here so we can see what's going on. So from about the top, you know, 1.5 inches down on your bucket, all the way down to right about there. And like I said, this is the inner bucket, the one with the holes, okay? The first 2 inches of your bucket, you want to use some lava stone. And don't get the cheap man-made stuff. Use actual real lava stone. You can get it at nurseries. You can even get it at the big box stores. There is a difference, and when you get it, you want to rinse it off really, really good. If you can, just get the natural gray stuff. Your plants aren't going to care if it's red, black, or any of that stuff, but it's dyed. So you really don't want that stuff. Just get the natural gray stuff or the red stuff and just wash it off really good before you pour it in. Fill up your bucket about 2 inches with lava stone. If you can't get lava stone, then use, you know, 1-inch river stone, broken pieces of terracotta pot, whatever you got that'll fill up the first 2 inches of this bucket and get it to this point. The next 1 inch, you're going to fill up with perlite, and that's to help a transition between your soil medium and these great big pores that are going to be down here, so you're not just like washing out all your medium. This is going to be a little barrier that's going to help with that, but also allow free draining below the soil, so you don't get that lockup where your soil pushes against the bottom of the pot and kind of seals off. This is going to prevent that. Then from there, all the way up till you get to the top little rim like you see right here, you're going to go ahead and fill it with your medium. And that's it. You are ready to go. You're going to plug that in. Make sure you got a nice safe plug outside if you're going to do this. Run you enough airline. And it's interesting to see the difference of growth rates in the plants when you actually do this. If you were to do this side by side with any plant you got in your garden, and these are the ones like that you want it really to do well. So this would be a good tomato system for your champion plants. Like if you wanted to grow a giant head of cabbage or something like that, this system is going to do that for you. It's going to deliver the oxygen. It's going to deliver those nutrients. Your plant is just going to literally put its leaves up into the air, reaching for more sun, more nutrients, and more goodies. In my opinion, utilizing the organic soil, the aeration, and then the aeroponic kind of system that's going on down there in the bottom of the bucket with the bubbling water, so you kind of get a hydro aeroponic thing going on. It's like the best of all three worlds combined into one growing system. And if you try this, you will continue to do this year after year after year. This is why they called me the mad scientist. People came over and they saw tubes running everywhere, aeration, but I had plants that were almost to the ceiling in half the time as anybody else. That's why I earned that name. And as you're going to see here shortly in a few other videos, it really, really does work. So I hope you guys really, really enjoy that. And now we're going to jump real quick and do a couple minutes on the second part of our video, which is the high intensity gardening and helping to get some of these plants into red solo cups so they can really take off and do what they need to do. So let's see if this works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but we got to get this cleaned up. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Wow, it really did work. Look at that. Poof. It's like magic. It just disappeared. Okay, so in the last video I did, we added the first section of our high intensity gardening, and we had transplanted one of our little lettuces over into a red solo cup. Look at that thing. It has almost doubled in size. And right behind it, we see the red leaf that was done, what, 3 weeks ago. So there's the one that was done 2 weeks ago, catching up. Pretty neat, huh? So we're going to continue this because there's a few other plants that you can do this with. And if you continuously, once a week, come over, grab a plant, put it into a cup, and then continuously move it over, at the end of this plant's life cycle, you know, with a few of them, like the lettuces, some of these, like the spinach, and even these, the Swiss chard, you can get them to grow consistently in this, or you can get them to a point where they're past predatory stage, past bug stage, and you only got a little bit further to go, and get them out in the garden when they're a lot bigger. So rotating your plants and getting one from the bin, one from the little nursery chamber that we got, putting it into a cup, and then the following week adding another one and another one and another one. 8 to 10 weeks later, every week you're harvesting a head of lettuce. Pretty cool, huh? Look at it, it's making a little head in there. Beautiful. So tonight I've got a couple cups, and we're going to do the exact same thing with the Swiss chard. And this is a kind of a 2-for-1 point here. This is Patriot Mom's idea, and she has an ice cream. I mean, old people love ice cream, right? So who doesn't love ice cream? You scream ice cream, we all scream for ice cream. And this is just another proof that it doesn't have to be red solo cups, folks. It's the double container system that's what's important. In this one, I'm using her square ice cream little 1-gallon bins to do this, because scatter seeding, you know, like with lettuce, with spinach, with these guys here, is a lot easier. You can't just sit and plant one little, I mean, I guess you could plant one little tiny seed and then hope for the best in each pot, but no, it's better to just get them all sprinkled out and then pull them from here and place them out in the garden where you want them to go. So we're going to come over here. First one we're going to do, let's see. Let me find a good one. Oh, there's one right there. Little Swiss chard. We're just going to reach down in here just like this. And we're going to pop him loose. Take my finger and just kind of lift him out. I'm going to come right over here. I already have the depression ready to go. We're going to kind of feed his roots down in there. Use our fingers to lightly press around him. And what's the next thing we got to do? We got to use our really cool Patriot watering system. Water bottle with a bunch of little pinhole right there. See them? Little pinholes in it. Here we go. Water it well and watch it grow. Give him a nice big drink. And in about a week, he's going to be twice that size. And it's going to continue to grow and grow and grow in that cup. And the red solo cup system is usually utilized to take things from, like the tomato here. Let's just take this tomato. It's to go from seedling directly to the garden. It's typically not used for transplanting a whole bunch, but in this case we're going to because it works out really, really well. Now spinach. Everybody has been having a really hard time with spinach. Some folks will say, oh no, it just grows wild like nothing. Other folks can barely get it to grow. Underneath the UV lights, it does really, really, really well. And you can get it to a point when you put it outside that it at least has a fighting chance against every single bug, bird, and just known thing to mankind. Everything knows this stuff is tasty. They want it just as bad as you do. And if it's big enough, it will survive. So we're going to go ahead and take our high dollar digging instrument here and see if we can't just reach underneath these guys and pop us out a real nice start. He looks pretty good. Oh, look at, he's going to have two. And that's okay with spinach. And we're going to come right over here. Pull this stick out of here. And we're going to give him a nice little push down in there. And with spinach, just be careful. You don't want to get the, you want to basically stay at the crown. You don't really want to, as I'm spreading dirt up on the top of it here, I'm saying that. You really don't want, let me zoom in here. You want those leaves and that little stem right there to be above the soil level. You don't really, I'm about to water it down so it'll be all right. But spinach, you definitely do not want that dirt to come up and hit those bottom leaves because that will start that yellowing and just total degradation process of your plant, and you're really not going to be happy. So, water it well, and we will watch it grow. And that's it. I hope you guys really enjoyed tonight's video. It was kind of a longer one, but I had to go a little in depth on that double red bucket system there because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. So if you have a few questions or you want to find out more about that system or just questions about what we've been doing tonight, leave them down in the comment section. It really helps when you guys leave comments, and I love actually answering all your questions. I'm pretty active on there. If I don't get back either that day, it's usually within a day or two, so I try to do my very best. But also, if you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I will show you how to grow things like this. Just look at that. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. And please give the video a thumbs up and share it because it helps to break that algorithm that YouTube has for Patriots getting prepared and prepping. We all need to get prepared. We all need to get together and we all need to stand together, and they really don't want us to be doing that. But I'm here to teach you how to get the food portion of that part going and help bring people together. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, Father started with a garden for a reason, because it was the best place for his children to grow. That is as true today as it was on what? The second day? Always remember that. There's a choice to be had coming up, folks. Stand with Father, do what's right, and get back to earth and start growing the food and the necessities you need. Or stick with the road that mankind, and a lot of them, chosen, of sickness, of putting things in their bodies they really shouldn't be doing, and eating food that makes them sick and full of things that really shouldn't be there. Genetically modified garbage, making our children, our animals, our air, our land, our water sick. We need to heal as a people. We need to heal as a country. We need to come together. And ladies and gentlemen, we need to grow. I love you all very much. Until our next great adventure, God bless. Murdock out.